this Sunday service for the Center for Spiritual Living, Space Coast. For those of you that are here, if you could mute your phones, if you haven't done it, that'd be a good idea. And if there's actually people doing that. Wow. If there's anybody watching during the week, I know we get a bunch of people watching during the week. There's anybody watching that's never been to a Center for Spiritual Living, we believe there's one God, many paths to that God, and we're here to love, honor, and support you, no matter what your divine path is. And the Center for Spiritual Living, Space Coast, is a safe haven for people of all beliefs and lifestyles, whoever you are, and wherever you find yourself on your journey of faith, you're welcome here. Our practitioner and reader today is Reverend Jenna Watkins. I want to, next week, we're going to have a guest speaker, Steve, who's on Zoom right now, Reverend Steve. And so we're all going to be on Zoom. So don't come here next week because we're going to do, and I'll remind you when I send out the Zoom info, but we're all going to be on Zoom. And on December 17th, we're going to have a get together here in the social hall from 1 to 3:30. It's going to be a potluck. If you're interested in coming, and it's also going to be a Secret Santa. If you want to participate in the Secret Santa, please email Reverend Jenna, and I've sent out her email. And if you want to bring a dish, let Becky and I know what it is, so we don't have everybody bringing a vegan dessert. What else? I'm leaving something out. I know it. Oh, just a reminder, our Christmas service is going to be on the 24th of December, Saturday evening, and it'll be either 6 or 6:30. I'll let you know a definite time in a week or so. I want to, Unity here where we meet is going to do the same thing. And I just want to make sure we're in sync with them. We don't have a big crowd here today, either here or on Zoom, but today it's supposed to be unexpected income. We could try it later and we will see. And now I will shut up and let us do another song.
So let's just take a moment of silence as we go within, settling into that place where we can just turn that dial from this moment to that place where we feel the presence of God. It's amazing how just a flip of the switch in our own mind, we can move from the world of materiality to the world of spirituality, to that place where we feel the presence of God, that infinite essence that is pure love. And it is everywhere present as we turn our attention to it. It is always there, always with us. No matter what occurs in the world around us, Spirit is there. And as we touch into that presence within our own hearts, we too speak love, speak peace. We carry that presence with us everywhere we go, touching the hearts and minds of everyone as we walk by, and they feel that peace and they feel that love. And we share our wisdom, our awareness of Spirit with the world. I give thanks for everyone who's here present today or listening on Zoom or recording later in the week. I give thanks for your presence, for you nurture each and every one of us. Everyone here brings the spirit of love, and we embrace that. And I know today the spirit of love is flowing in and through Reverend Dr. Ron. The word of spirit flows through him, bringing to us an idea, a thought, a message, an awareness, something that empowers that feeling of God within us, that feeling of love, that feeling of peace, that essence that when we walk out of the service today, we feel that love of God ever so deeply within our own lives. For all of this, I do give thanks, and so it is. So my reading today is from the Science of Mind magazine, and it was written by Reverend Julie Schmidt. Its title is Wonder and Awe. I love those moments in life when I moved into a state of wonderment and awe. The beauty of nature, a newborn smile, a hawk in flight, and love expressed. These are all portals that awaken me into a deeper awareness of the connectivity and communion I have with life. Socrates said, wisdom begins in wonder. Wonder is this precious state where we open to the mystery. We find that having interest and curiosity takes what we once considered routine or mundane and brings it alive again. Our insight naturally expands. There are times that these moments take us by surprise, leaving us breathless. They also can arise by practicing gratitude and through contemplating the many possibilities. Look upward into the starry night sky. Consider its vastness, the potentiality of other life forms and the creative process that enables it to exist. Then reflect upon the spaciousness of our own heart, the universe that resides within. By looking beyond what we think of as predictable, we find magic everywhere. Explanations are no longer needed. What is left is this sweet appreciation. We open to a deep sense of reverence and thankfulness for the oneness of life. Keep every moment alive. Delight in the ever-changing landscape of both the outer and the inner worlds. Be excited about what is emerging. Divine alchemy is turning what we initially see as ordinary into what is extraordinary.
So good morning again. And the title of the message today is Life's Deeper Meaning. And I want to begin with two quotes, both from Ernest Holmes. The first one is from his book, Words That Heal. And he wrote, "It is only when we view life from the standpoint of an expanding soul, destined forever to exist somewhere, that we can make either sense or sanity out of human experience. If we view life from the standpoint that each is an evolving soul destined to live forever somewhere, we shall see that in the long run, life must return to us what we reflect into it. In the long run, only the merciful can obtain mercy. Hate will beget hate, and love will give birth to that which is lovely. Joy will find joy, and peace join with peace." And the other reading is from The Science of Mind, and he wrote, "Until we awake to the fact that we are one in nature with God, we shall not find the way of life. Until we realize that our own word has the power of life, we will not see clearly." So those readings, in some level, speak to me about our need to take the time to ask what really matters in life. And, all of us, I'm sure, that are listening to me want to live spiritual lives. And the question is, how do we do it? And I believe that we need to get in touch with who we really are, not the who that we pretend to be, not the who that society tells us we should be, but rather our authentic self. Pierre Viliat Khan, the late Sufi master, said, if all of the great teachers of the East came to the US and had a job, a family, car payments, insurance payments, and taxes, they would struggle. They would struggle. You know, our lives at times aren't easy, but we need to find a way somehow to get off autopilot and to become more open and receptive to spirit. Spiritual life, spirituality begins when we recognize God as our center. We need to develop a deep personal relationship with spirit and be open to the love and the guidance that's always available to us when we quiet down and listen. I saw this week, Mother Teresa said, God is a friend of silence. You know, Anthony DeMillo was one of my favorite teachers. And he was the late Anthony DeMillo. He was a Jesuit priest from India, and he did all kinds of great writing. And so I want to tell you something that he spoke about, and I want to say in advance, I'm sure part of this is tongue in cheek. And he said that spirituality means waking up. And he said most people are asleep and they don't know it. They're born asleep, they go to work asleep, they get married asleep, and they die when they're asleep. And he said, and most people will tell you that they want to get out of kindergarten. Don't believe them, he said. He said that they don't want to wake up because waking up is unpleasant. It's really so nice to be in bed. I see people shaking their head. It's so nice to be and comfortable to be in bed. And it's irritating to be woken up. And he gives an example of a dad who knocks on his son's door and says, wake up, it's time to go to school. And the son says, I don't want to wake up and I don't want to go to school. And the dad said, you have to. And the son said, no. And the dad said, why not? And the son said, I'm going to give you 3 reasons. It's dull, the kids tease me, and I hate school. And the dad said, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you have to go. It's your duty, you're 45 years old, and you're the principal. Get the message. He's trying to say that for some of us, it's more comfortable not to wake up. And so when I read this week, I thought I really get what he's saying, you know, because when we talk about transformation, et cetera, we use great words and it sounds like it's so easy, and it's really not. It's really not, you know. You have to wake up. I thought this week, you know, you have to really be open and honest and look at who you are. So it doesn't mean only looking at the good stuff. It means looking at the shadow side. And it means maybe looking at some of the things you did that you're not really proud of. And it means going back perhaps and asking for forgiveness, or reaching out and giving forgiveness to people that you might be upset with. And it means, and I know for my wife and I, Becky and I, this was one of the more painful parts when we started in this philosophy. It means sometimes stepping away from friends, or having friends step away from you because all of a sudden you want to talk about different things. You want to go deeper in different ways. So that's what he's saying, I think. You know, he's saying it kind of tongue in cheek, but waking up isn't always easy. Barbara DeAngelis, in one of her books, says, what is it? What's the inner turn of events that happens that pushes somebody to say they want to wake up? And she calls it, I really like this, she calls it the cosmic alarm clock. The cosmic alarm clock. And she said it's like an alarm clock goes off when you realize that you've been asleep for a lot of your life and it's time to wake up. And she said, even if you hit the snooze button, it's too late. It's too late because there's no going back. And I've told this vignette here before about a man who's walking in the forest and he sees a really tall, round building and his curiosity piques him. And he goes in the building and there's a winding set of stairs. And he starts up the stairs and he realizes every time he leaves a step to go to the next step, the step he left falls off and goes into the void. And the point of that is just what Barbara DeAngelis is saying. There ain't no going back once you start on the path. Once our soul begins, once the soul awakens, the search begins. And when you realize that you've been asleep, you really do want to wake up. And she tells a really interesting story. She was doing a workshop in Sedona, and she was going to Bell Rock, a place she said she had been many times before. And I guess it's a hill or a mountain that you climb. And she said, right as she was starting out, a couple was coming down, and she overheard the man say to his wife, I didn't feel a damn thing. He said, I don't get it. What's the big deal? I didn't feel a damn thing. And Barbara said she started to think about that. And she asked herself, what are we going to see when we're all through with this life? How many of us will miss what happened because we didn't let ourselves see, we didn't let ourselves feel, or we didn't let ourselves tune in to be moved? And how many of us will wind up like that fellow coming down from Bell Mountain and say, I don't know what the big deal is. I didn't feel a thing. What's so great about being human? What's so great about love? And I thought, I want to give you a couple of examples. The first one is an example of everything Barbara DeAngelis and Father DeMillo weren't talking about. This is not an example of what we're talking about, but it's such a perfect non-example. I want to use it. It's a quote from Lorraine, who's a businesswoman. Lorraine, who's a businesswoman, who's talking about the cost of living a successful life. And she writes, you have to give up something to be a success in business. There isn't time for everything. Me, I have very little time for my spiritual life. I don't have a civic life. And I do very little with friendships. Anything that doesn't have to do with business. I don't have time to cultivate relationships that aren't profitable. How is that living? How is that living a life to just chase money? Here's an example, I think, of what DeMillo and Barbara DeAngelis were talking about. It's from Lao Tzu, who said, be content with what you have. Rejoice the way things are. When you realize there's nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. And DeMillo gave one other example that I wasn't sure I was going to use, but I love it, so I'm going to. He writes about somebody that's getting a tour of an insane asylum. And at some point, they come to a patient who's gently rocking back and forth and quietly saying, Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. And the fellow asked the doctor, what's that about? And the doctor says, he was in love with Lulu and she jilted him. And they continue on the tour. And after a while, they come to a padded cell. And there's a guy banging his head against the wall and screaming, Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. And the guy says to the doctor, he has a problem with Lulu too? And the doctor said, yeah, that's the guy she eventually married. And Milo's point is, sometimes in life, when we get, the two big problems are either we get what we want or we don't get what we want. And that's what Lao Tzu is saying, be content with what you have. We don't have to wait for something to open us up. We can open up first. Oh, because only then, when we open up, will we receive what there is to receive. And we aren't waiting for our wisdom. It's been waiting for us. It's been waiting for us to come to it, to open and to reveal itself. Raymond Charles Barker, who was a contemporary of Ernest Holmes, said, we're all born with infinite wisdom. And he said, when he does a christening of a baby, he marvels at the baby, seeing the baby, that it's how spontaneous babies are, how they're not restricted, how they're not inhibited at all. And he looks at the baby and he said, I'm aware of its potential. And I wonder, I look at it and I wonder, how is it going to develop? What is its life going to be? Is it going to, be in the arts? Is it going to be a doctor? What's going to happen? And Eric Butterworth puts it really succinctly. He said, we're human in expression, but divine in creation and limitless in potentiality. I started reading a new book this week. Actually, Reverend Jenna put me onto it. I don't remember the title, I'm sorry, but it's by, and she doesn't either, it's by Mark Nepo. And in fact, when we're done with Tuesdays with Maury, I'm going to propose that our book group reads it. And Mark Nepo writes, he said, we've been misdirected in our lives. We've been miseducated in our lives because we've been taught to place things over people. We're taught to love success, and that's an outer thing. And he said, someday our outer has to meet with our inner. And we need to learn to love what we do more than what we achieve. And we need to hang out with people that are real and authentic. And that's what I was trying to say before, when you start on the spiritual journey, the outer conversations about what am I going to buy next? What am I going to get next? Kind of fall away. And people want to talk about what's real and what's authentic. And he said, every time you help a stranger, every time you lift somebody up, every time you speak your truth, you're keeping humanity's flame lit. And we're true to ourselves when we bring forth what is true to us. And that it reminded me of what supposedly are the last words of Buddha when he was lying on his deathbed, and his disciples were all in a tither. What are we going to do without the Buddha? His advice to them was, be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold the truth within yourselves to be the only truth. And Reverend Jen is smiling at me because she knows for Christmas, I'm going to get a tattoo. And part of what's going to be on the tattoo is that first line, because I absolutely love it. I'm going to take it from plural to singular and just make it be a lamp unto yourself, meaning follow your own heart. Know that what's in there is the only truth for you. And what we need to do is become aware of that truth, because that's what will help us understand what is and how things work. So I want to close. I opened with two quotes. I'm a Libra, and Libras have to even the scale, right? So I'm going to close with two quotes. And the first one is by somebody named Addie Barkan, who was afflicted with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And he's writing about a hug he received from his young son. He said, that was the best hug I've ever had. I told him when he was done, trying more than anything to sear it in my mind's eye, because when the daily grind of living nearly paralyzed life becomes too much, when I'm exhausted and depressed and hopeless, I want to return to that hug. I want to imagine that there are similar hugs in my future. That's also the only way, I think, for all of us to persevere through the atrocities, the hate, and the lies. We have to hold on to the precious beauty, to the moments of triumph, and fight in the hope that there are more victories to come, more beauty and love in our future. Isn't that beautiful from somebody who, and the last one, this is going to be very similar to something Reverend Jenna read. This is Albert Einstein. And he wrote, the most beautiful emotion we can experience is mystical. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. Think about that. Thank you for being here this morning. God bless you and have a great week. Many times as I've heard it, I just love it. For years, I thought Faith wrote that song, but she didn't. Anyway, this is when we do our offertory. And if we could repeat together, the people that are here, the joyful giving affirmation in the bulletin. I live in a consciousness of good, divine love, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. So I just want to say to the people that are watching on Zoom and the people this week, it's very easy to donate to us. All you have to do is go on our website, www.cslspacecoast.org, hit the donate button, and it'll give you all kinds of options. Today is also the third Sunday, which means that it's unexpected income. And we do that on the third Sunday, and we say to people on the second Sunday, set the intention that somehow unexpected income will come into your life. And we offer people the opportunity on the third Sunday to come forward, tell us a little bit about their story, and donate a little bit about the unexpected income. And so I'll go first, because I know I don't look undernourished, but Becky must, because several times in the last month, people have bought us lunch. And I had a really interesting experience last week. And as soon as I told Becky, she said, that's unexpected income. I was in a Vietnamese restaurant getting some wonton soup to take out, and I was really parched. So I asked the lady if I could have a Diet Coke, and they gave out cans. So she gave me a can of Diet Coke, and I drank it. And I said to her, you know, I'm going to take a can of Diet Coke home with me. May I have another can? And she gave it to me, and I said, how much? She said, it's on me. Thank you, sir. And as soon as I told Becky, she said, that's unexpected income. So I don't know if there's anybody else. Thank you, Jenna. Have anybody else? Just us? Oh, okay. Sue. Could you do me a favor? Could you speak louder? Because they're not going to be able to hear you.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks, Tom and I have just received checks in the mail, and it's from our house cleaning, I guess. You know, the little things that we overpay for, or you know, came due, and we paid it all, and yet we don't live there anymore. And so that's the kind of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Ed?
I got a letter in the mail saying I won $500,000 on a contest I didn't enter.
Did you see the money?
Not yet, but if I do, you'll know.
Oh, wow. Our doctor and I were talking, this is totally aside, has nothing to do with anything, but we were at the doctor, and she's really wonderful. We were talking, And she was telling us about a procedure that they do. And we were laughing because it's $5,000. And I said to her, boy, I have a hell of a lot of things I could do with $5,000 rather than get a medical procedure. And it was more like cosmetic. And she said, well, I said to her, I'll tell you what, Keela, if Becky and I ever get an unexpected $5,000, I'll take you and your husband out for a steak dinner. And she said, I'll tell you what, Ron, if I hit the lottery, I'll take you and Becky out for a steak dinner too. So with that, if we could just take a moment. Getting over a sore throat, I hope. If we could just take a moment and know that we all have the option to live a deeper and deeper life, that the divine presence of spirit always awaits our acknowledgement to come to it, and we receive only what we're open to receiving. And so as we open our hearts, as we open our minds, as we say, yes, Spirit, I am here, I am with you, our lives can be filled with absolute wonder, with living our dream, living our hopes, living whatever it is, whatever gift we have to give. We can see it, we can learn it, we can be it, and we can do it. And we can know that we're all here to pick up somebody who's down, to love somebody, to be loved, to love ourselves, and to know that everywhere we are, God is. Every day when I do my own prayer work, one of the prayers I say is, I know that what's ever going on in my life and Becky's life right now, divine right action is taking place. God, the divine presence, is right in the middle of it. And no matter what it looks like, I give thanks for it because it has to be good, because it's all God. And so for that and so much more, I just give thanks and I release the word and let it be. And so it is. So if we can do our closing song, and then we can do our closing affirmation, we can get together and chat for a little bit.